In the last couple of episodes, we have been talking about different models of human needs, and this is the last one of this series. There are plenty more out there that we could follow, but they pretty much all come into the same or similar conclusions. The human givens approach is an approach that I really enjoy following and also referring to. So I often refer to it in my mind when I'm working with other people, with coaching clients, or when I see something happening in a client's life. So I will suggest for them to go and look at it on a high level. And then I also like it for myself. So when I reflect with myself and try to find some relevance of that model in my life or from my life, some relevance on what emotional needs am I not meeting, perhaps. Welcome, my friends, to another episode from Inside Treasures. My name is Phoebus, and I love to challenge myself and those around me for the purpose of growth. This podcast is about helping you to heal, to change, and to grow. This episode is going to be about our human needs according to the human givens framework. What is the human givens? The human givens is an approach. It's a scientific framework and a psychological framework that we can use. It's a way that they've organized the ideas more holistically in order to understand the individual and the society and how we work. They have looked into neurobiology and psychology and even to ancient wisdoms. That's why human givens really resonates with me, because it brings different ideas from different places. In their fundamental basis, the human givens approach says the following: that we all come into this world with a set of needs, and if those needs are met appropriately, then we won't suffer of any mental illness. Along with that, we also come with a certain amount of resources and our own internal guidance program. And together with our needs, that's what makes us humans. Human givens, they consider them givens and drivers of the human nature, our needs and resources that we come into this world and we all have. So bringing all that together, and in its core saying, we are all humans, we all have human needs, we all have certain guidance programs that we use on our day-to-day. When we use those things effectively, when we're meeting our needs, then we have a good well-being. The human givens model tells us that behind every emotional need, it's nature's programming for us to connect to the external world and particularly to other people in order to survive in it. So according to them, the reason we suffer and go through distress, anxiety, anger, and depression is nature's way of ensuring that we meet our needs. Our human needs are a driving force that motivate us to become fully human and succeed in whatever environment we find ourselves in, physically and emotionally. I know you have been waiting for it. So what are the emotional needs behind human givens? They have taken, again, different views in different schools, and one of them has been Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But they'll also looked elsewhere and try to gather those distinctions and those similarities into the models. So the first one is the sense of security, which we talked about with Maslow. It's about being in a safe territory, in a safe environment, which allows us to develop fully. That means that we feel safe where we are. We feel safe with those around us. We feel safe with ourselves. The next one is attention, whether we give it or receive it. Attention is a form of nutrition that we get. And that's why we often see how we can starve other people from attention. We see it as a passive-aggressive attitude to take our attention away from the other people. We see it as part of our kids coming to us and us being on our phones and not giving that attention that we should and deserve to give them. Having that presence that can give attention, but also receiving attention. Attention is a gate to connection. Attention helps us connect with other human beings. It creates that presence. It's that eye contact. It's that I'm here, I'm present, fully with you. And that we can cultivate through mindfulness, through paying attention to the people around us. In a world of distraction, we basically stop being human because we give away that need for attention. We sell our attention to those who have hijacked it with the different apps and the television and all those things that are happening around us. So pay particular attention to attention, because it's important to give it as well to make sure that we receive it. That doesn't mean we're always the center of attention, because there are problems with that, but it's that healthy form of nutrition, that healthy form of transacting with other people through the use of attention. The next one is the sense of autonomy and control. We've talked about this on this podcast before, about the locus of control, about where the control is. It's about having volition to make responsible choices, meaning that I can control certain things within my own life. And that, of course, empowers us to be ourselves. It's having that good measure of control, that feeling that we have control over our lives. So on the locus of control, we talked about what are the things that we can control and not control, and what we can influence. Sometimes we can grow fearful because we're not in control. We can grow passive. But it is about that perception as a need, that I can control certain situations, that I'm not just a bystander, that there are things that I can do. And a lot of times in coaching and in therapy is about helping people understand that perspective and see themselves that they have a say in this situation, that there's certain things that they can do that they can control for themselves or for other people. Otherwise, we fall into the trap of the learned helplessness, that there's nothing I can do. Look at me, I'm so small, I can't do anything about it. And of course, that causes mental distress and anxiety. And it can cause anger and frustration. It's about feeling positive about our ability to cope with life and its adversities. It's about resiliency and the things that we can do that can have significant impact on our ability to cope. When we feel that we can control things, we're more able to cope. If we take that away from us, then we lose that ability to cope. There was something I was reading as part of doing the research for this, but it was talking about the ability to cope, and it was talking about something really gory. It was about torturing, I think, back with the Stasis or the Nazis. And basically there was the guy who was being continuously tortured. And as part of him regaining some part of the control, it was that when he would feel that he would actually faint from the torturing and the pain, he would hold himself for another minute or another 30 seconds. And that sense of control helped him to go through this and cope with it. I know it's not a pleasant experience, but it shows when we have that ability to influence something, when we feel that we have certain control. There was no control around the circumstances, around the situation, but there was some control around the response to the situation. The main thing to also take away from this is people have a responsibility. In a more day-to-day thing, we have a responsibility to ourselves, and we have a way of restoring that sense of control. Sometimes we have to go through certain things, and it can be difficult, but it's not impossible as long as we understand that we have a sense of responsibility to ourselves and to those around us and to those around us. It's knowing that sometimes we just have to do whatever it is required rather than just being a bystander sitting on the sidelines. So sense of autonomy and control, that can be in charge of myself and the things that go on around me. That I can influence things, that I have an input in things. At least I have an input in the way that I see them and the meaning that I create. The next one is emotional intimacy. To know that at least one person accepts us totally for who we are. I know this can have a bit of a give and take because some of us think that unconditional love doesn't exist. Some people try to unconditionally love us. But the main thing is to get some emotional intimacy. According to the human givens model, is that someone loves us for who we are, for what we are. Emotional intimacy, remember, that starts with ourselves first, learning to love ourselves and to be intimate with ourselves. And it's a great and amazing thing when we have it around us. To know that there are other people around us who care about our emotional, physical, and sexual closeness. It's about feeling close to other people. The next need has to do with us feeling part of the wider community. That sense of belonging that we talked about in different episodes, that we're part of a greater community and not just by ourselves. So it's not only about me, it's about creating an us. In that sense, the human givens approach also talks about how when we're helping other people help us and we ease off the load. So it also brings in that sense of contribution, but also receiving that contribution as part of a result because we're part of a greater group. In that sense, when we're helping others, we're also helping ourselves. And we're not doing it for the purpose of helping ourselves, but we're doing it as a sense of contribution. But of course, it will feed up into helping ourselves. The next one is privacy. Privacy is the opportunity to reflect and consolidate an experience. It's the fact that we can take some time and be by ourselves in order for us to be able to reflect, to understand. Privacy is a huge need for me, and I tend to try and find the space and time, either by going away or by spending some time by myself. But I know that it helps me, it helps my well-being, and then it helps me be a better person within the community, within my family, because then I can give more, I can be more. But I know that taking that time for privacy is important, and I try to put it high up on my list of the things to do for myself. When we don't have time for privacy, when we don't have the space to just sit there and consolidate, we can suffer because we become into a passive mode. We live life, things are happening. We never get the opportunity to take a breath. And when we don't get an opportunity to take a breath, we start to suffocate. And then when we suffocate, those around us begin to suffer as well. That's why I find it important that we spend enough time in privacy to be ourselves. Yes, spend enough time connecting with other people. So this, you see, it's an idea, but it's about balancing the idea of having privacy and spending time with other people. The next one is the sense of status within a social grouping. That we are where we need to be, that we are serving a role within the social grouping. Part of talking about earlier about the wider part of the community creates that sense that we belong. We not just are. The next need is the sense of competence and achievement. Having that sense of competence that we can do things and that we can achieve things and we have achieved things. That, of course, feeds into our self-confidence and us feeling great about who we are in a positive, healthy way, not in an arrogant way, but in a healthy way. When we're feeling, oh, I'm useless, I can't make things happen, of course, we're not going to have the best well-being within us. But when we have that sense that we're progressing, that we're competent, that we're building things, that we're contributing to other people, of course, our emotional needs are being met. The last need that the Human Givens covers is that meaning of purpose, which comes from being stretched into what we do and think. Finding meaning and understanding purpose. What is the purpose of this? Meaning and purpose are often intertwined. And sometimes it's about us creating that. Sometimes it's about us being able to reflect on the things that happen and finding the meaning and purpose behind them. A lot of times we think that meaning and purpose is just what is given to us from the outside, from the world, or through deep reflection. But sometimes it's just about making up that purpose, that meaning, and creating it. Because when we give it reason, it helps us to ground ourselves. Even if that reason is not the true reason, even if that reason is made up and it's deluding, so be it. Because if it can help us move on, if it can help us to be healthy in the present moments, then what's the harm? We should get more clarity around it and about it. But creating meaning and purpose can help tremendously into our well-being, and linking back into control. It can also help us to cope with life and to move on and to grow and to heal and to change. In summary, what are the human needs? According to the Human Givens, the sense of security, attention to give and receive, a sense of autonomy and control, emotional intimacy, feeling part of a wider community, giving time for privacy, a sense of status within a social group, a sense of competence and achievement, meaning and purpose. The past few episodes have been about exploring different models about human needs in order for us to be able to understand ourselves more and dwell deeper into what makes us human, into what helps us to be ourselves, into what helps us have a better well-being. The next couple of episodes will be about not only just knowing that background information, but actually dwelling into it and understanding ourselves and looking into the needs, the ones that perhaps we're not catering as much, the ones that actually we are catering and how that is helping us and empowering us. And when we take them away, how that makes us crumble. So these are the kinds of exercise that we're going to dwell into. First of all, finding the needs, the emotional needs that are really important and ranking high up, because certain needs will be lower on your book. They will not matter as much. They matter in the general sense, but they won't matter as much. So just finding what these are, ranking them will help us. But I will talk about that in the next episode, so we can help us go through this world with more ease, with a better well-being. This is all about well-being and mental health. As my friend the Dalai Lama said, whether one is rich or poor, educated or illiterate, religious or a non-believer, man or woman, black, white or brown, we are all the same. Physically, emotionally, and mentally, we're all equal. We all share a basic need for food, shelter, safety, and love. We all aspire to happiness and we all shun suffering. Each of us has hopes, worries, fears, and dreams. Each of us wants the best for our family and loved ones. We all experience pain when we suffer loss and joy when we achieve what we seek. On this fundamental level, religion, ethnicity, culture, and language make no difference. There's one more thing I'd like to offer you. Every once a month or whenever my schedule opens up, I try to give my time in order to contribute to other people's lives, in order to give back to the community, to give back to all of you who have been listening to me and supporting me. So whenever I can, I open up my calendar and I give away those so-called strategy sessions. But at this time of the year, I kind of switch it around a little bit. I find the end of November and December to be really the preparation for the next year, to be about us reflecting about the year that just passed by. Yes, we're nearly at the end of the year, so it's taking that time to reflect to what happened this year. What did I learn? What were some great things that I achieved? As part of that, it's also about setting ourselves up for the next year and kind of setting the goals and the vision and the purpose that we want to have for the next year. Now, if you're new to this podcast, I'm a certified coach and I enjoy coaching other people, and it's part of what I do on my day-to-day. As part of this review and goal-setting session, it will be a deep dive. It will be a roughly 2 hours investment of your time. But there will be a lot of things that will come out of this. You will learn a lot about yourself. You will learn a lot about the year. You will learn about the things that have been getting in the way for you and how you can shift some things around. You're going to get that high-level view of what has been going on and that high-level view of how you want things to be. It's about setting your vision and getting clarity about how you want things to be in order to live a life with intention and to live a more life of clarity, where it comes from you being more proactive rather than reactive, where it comes from you steering the life to where you want it to be. Like I said, these sessions are meant as a gift to you. What I expect of you is to show up and to show up fully. But other than that, there are no strings attached. And whether you liked what we did and you would like to continue, we could explore that. If we're a good fit, if you like me and I like you and we can work together. But if not, there's no problem. You keep going, you get a clear plan about what it is that you want to be doing next year. You get a clear plan about what happened this year and the kind of things that got in the way. The session takes place over Zoom, and like I said, it will be 1.5 hours to 2 hours because we're going to go deep into many things that happened this year and deep into the things that you want to create for next year. I have a handful of sessions available this coming week. If you're interested in changing and growing, I recommend that you book this call now, because those sessions will fill up and they will fill up fast. So if you're hearing this and you're interested in this and this is resonating with you, all you have to do in order to book is go to insidetreasures.com, go to the top right corner and click on the book call button. Or you can go to insidetreasures.com/book or click into the link in the description below. And I will talk to you soon. I'm here to help you heal, change, and grow. If there's something that resonated with you, something that you need help with, give me a shout at podcast@insidetreasures.com or reach out to me on Instagram @insidetreasures. If you found any of those messages useful and insightful, share them with your friends and your loved ones. Allow the message and wisdom to spread to those around you, because you never know how it will impact them. Thank you for tuning in to another episode from Inside Treasures. My name is Phoebus, and until next time, my friends, let peace guide your life, let love guide your heart, and reason guide your thoughts.